And we're starting with the NLL Cardinal division. If you've seen the Blade preview, Clay tabbed as a favorite, but we've got some picks from our gentleman here in the studio, including one who's not here today, but I'll sub in for him. NLL Cardinal picks, you see him on the screen, gentlemen. Napoleon across the board. We're not listening to what the Blade says, apparently. Justin, Scott, and of course, Bruce Johnson. You see him, Baseball with Bruce over on Sports Nightly, all picking Napoleon. What are we not seeing in the Blade preview here that we're going Napoleon?
Yeah, but don't throw the Blade under the bus just because
you did it, not me. It's your pick.
No. I'm saying the Blade preview is based upon the coaches' polls. So coaches think that. My hunch with Napoleon is they got some playoff pedigree under their belt from last year, and they have a bunch of returning guys. They're what I love, multi-sport, in some cases three-sport athletes. And hats off to Rubenstein, who is going to play at Kent State for football. So you get those sometimes, Scott, those early enrollees for football. But he said, no, I want to finish my senior year and play basketball and baseball. So I love that as a parent, as a coach. So that's one of the reasons. You got Parker Woods, you got Owen Espinosa, and I just think that they have been building. And when you are at the high school level and you got a veteran leadership group, seniors who have been there, done that, that's why I tabbed them.
Yeah, and I'm right on the same wavelength with you. It's the pedigree. Those kids have come together 4 years. Sure. Great winning traditions. Football, they were a success. Nice run in football season. Those kids were all together there. And I think the key that Justin has hit on, the fact that Trey Rubenstein is staying, that's a real message to everybody else. And I think Clay, they're going to have talent. They always have talent. Sure. They got that good JV team coming up. But I think Napoleon, they're in for a good run this season.
Yeah, the returning haul, really the difference, right? At Napoleon, you talk about those three guys alone that we've seen multiple sports as they've gone through, as Justin mentioned. Clay, 7 graduating seniors from what was maybe at one point everybody thought the best team in Northwest Ohio throughout a lot of last season during the regular season. Injuries kind of plagued them as the playoffs came around, but that could be the difference, right? The experience versus we got guys stepping into bigger roles now.
100%. I think CJ Boudreau and Vinny Gallagher were the two main key cogs for that Clay team last year. CJ Boudreau getting some innings in his first freshman year at BGSU. And then Vinny Gallagher, originally committed to Eastern Michigan, no longer there. But two guys that Coach Jim Phillips is going to have to replace, and that's just part of high school baseball or any sport. But that JV team that Clay had, first place finished last year, I don't put too much into that, because if you got a freshman or a sophomore who's varsity caliber, you're going to be on varsity. So you can't say there's a core key group of only freshmen and sophomores who are now moved out of varsity. So, and that's JV teams are different from school to school to school. So I don't put too much into that. But Landon Eversman is the guy that I like for this Clay team. Yeah, so I think that he can make a big impact this year. Lots of new faces across the board. But in some cases, that doesn't mean like, oh, man, it's a complete rebuilding year, especially when you have a program like Clay who has continuously developed talent year in and year out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going all the way back to Dick Candick with Clay, and then Carl Canera as their head coach. As you said, they don't rebuild, they reload. But Justin's correct in that there's a difference of experience from that JV to varsity, and just in the maturation of that process. I think if you can get Landon Eversman to pitch well for Clay, they're going to compete. And I also think that group does have a little bit of a sour taste in that upset loss in the playoffs last year against Southview. So they'll compete. So I don't think anyone's writing Clay off, but the money's still, in my opinion, beyond Napoleon.
Yeah, and you brought up Southview. They had that Avery Offenberg grand slam that catapulted them over Clay in many regards, a total surprise victory early in the playoffs last year. But I like what Coach Tim McCarthy's doing at Southview. I think they're going to have a chance. I don't necessarily, as I picked Napoleon, I don't think Southview is going to win the title, but I think that they could maybe win a game against the top half of the Cardinal division, maybe split some of those regular season series. Last year, the NLL went to back-to-back games, playing on a Tuesday and Wednesday, one home, one on the road against the same teams, kind of a mini series format, which I like because you can't, it really speaks to the depth of a pitching rotation as opposed to pitching your ace one time and then you play him 3 weeks later and you play that pitch that same pitcher again. So I like that as a baseball fan. I like Drew Young coming back from a football injury, playing for Southview. Adam LaPlace, Jacob Huss. I think that they got a mixture of experience and some youth that could maybe surprise some teams. And then Bowling Green as well with Coach Fred Riggs. They got Carter Earl, Joey Klein, Rhett Winger, who could make an impact and maybe get some wins. They came up short against St. John's earlier this week in a regular season game. But I think that they could come up and sneak up a little bit in the Cardinal division.